So, Dan, we've made it to the bye week, and as Jalen Johnson so eloquently put it, can't lose this week, right? Because the team is on a break. They come back, they'll face some tough opponents. But let's talk about the season thus far for this Bears team, obviously with a 3-10 record. But if we start with the positives, what have been the positives?
Well, obviously the positives are the playmaking emergence of Justin Fields, who added another 50-plus yard touchdown on Sunday against the Green Bay Packers and continues to be the life for this entire offense and really for this entire team. You see the hope that he's injected not only into the franchise but into the city at large, where people sense that there could be a bright future if a lot of other things can come together. Now, there are a lot of other things that need to come together, but to see Justin make the growth he's made, particularly over the last 2 months, as obviously a runner, but now again as a passer, gives you hope that his development is headed in the right direction, and if the Bears can continue to foster it and facilitate it, hopefully it leads to bright things.
Matt Eberflus wants his guys to decompress during this break, but he also is giving them some homework, finding 2 to 3 things that they can each individually improve upon. So I'm going to ask you as a whole, not to evaluate each member of the 53-man roster, but what do you think this team, 3 things that they can improve upon?
I thought you were going to ask me 2 to 3 things that I can improve upon, and I'm just going to take the week off from trying to improve on anything.
Yes.
So we'll do that. But look, like this team is all about the hits principle, right? And if you're going to be about the hits principle, takeaways are part of that. They've really struggled to generate much defensively in terms of a pass rush, in terms of getting those big game-changing plays that they need. So you would hope that within the group that's left, a lot of guys injured, some guys traded, that they can find guys that can make those types of plays for them. Then the other part, I think, is, as we've been talking about for a month, when you're in these close games in the fourth quarter, go win it. Go find a way to win one of these games. The Bears have won 1 game since September. They've obviously had 4 in a row of Justin Fields starts where they've had a chance at the end to go down and get a score that either ties the game or puts them ahead, and they've failed all 4 times. And so that's a hurdle that a young quarterback and a growing offense has to get over.
When you think about, the point was brought up to Matt Eberflus this week before they went on the bye about the fact that Justin Fields willing his teammates that capability to be in the huddle and kind of get the good things out of his teammates in those final drives of the season. They've been close so many times. Is there a lesson that needs to be learned in how to close games? We keep hearing it, but what is closing
There
games?
is, right? There is a lesson. They've just got to figure out what it is because it's a riddle in this league. But we all know that this is what this league comes down to. It's close games at the end, and the teams with the star quarterbacks who have the belief of everyone around them end up putting together those drives that win games and then lead to division championships, which leads to playoff berths, which then leads to postseason success. And so you just have to figure out how to take each one of these experiences, in this case, a lot of failures, and learn from them to figure out what in your operation needs to be better, what you need to do better as a quarterback. We can talk forever about how this is an all-11 mission, but the quarterbacks are the ones that are paid the most in this league. The quarterbacks are the ones that get the most spotlight, and so it's their responsibility to, as Matt Eberflus said, be the guys that will that. He says he has no doubts that Justin will get over that hump. There's nothing in Justin's DNA that says he won't, but until we see it, we can't believe it, and so hopefully sooner rather than later we start to see it.
Through 13 games for this season, we've seen a little bit of everything. We've seen some veterans be traded away. We've seen some veteran leaders be injured and now end their season. Who do you think has emerged as a leader in this locker room when they've needed that leader, because especially you're dealing with the injuries, pieces going to other places, but also a losing streak, a heavy losing streak?
Yeah, look, I think there's a handful of guys whose voice matters, whose working habits matter. Justin's one of those guys. I think you look at Jalen Johnson as a guy who's been an emerging sort of energy source for guys on defense. You look at Justin Jones up front, Cody Whitehair on the offensive line. There are guys within this team that can set a tone, and that's an important thing here, Kaitlin, because there are still 4 games to play. And the Bears can't just come back from the bye and take a deep sigh and say, well, we'll play for 2023. There's a lot that can be squeezed out of these last 4 games, but it's going to take a mental investment and a concentration level that might be difficult at this time of year. It can't be difficult because when the Bears come back from the bye, they're hosting the Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills in a 7-day span. And so you better be ready, because otherwise you're going to get exposed as a bottom-tier team that's a long, long way from championship contention. So let's see how they respond.
And finally, to kind of wrap it up, you talked about the tough opponents that are coming in when they finish this season. But there's also a number of guys, when you think about what this locker room, what this roster could look like next season, you look at it, what it looks like currently, and you think there could be so much change. Guys are playing for contracts. Guys are playing maybe to put tape on to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Where is the biggest importance for the players inside this locker room now with these 4 games remaining?
Look, I think you just have to figure out a way individually to figure out what your breakthrough is. I think specifically the 2022 draft class has to finish strong. That's guys like Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon coming back from concussions and finishing the season strong. It's a guy like Dominique Robinson continuing to work on his evolution as a pass rusher and making more impact for the defense. It's Velus Jones becoming more involved on offense, right? We haven't seen much from him as a receiver or a ball carrier or anything other than a kick returner. And so you've got to find these answers, because if you're just going to punt on the entirety of every free agent acquisition and draft pick from 2022, well, then you're 20 steps further behind than you already were. And we know that they're very, very far away from being a team that should be in the conversation in January and February.
Absolutely. Well, so enjoy some time off, decompress. Thank you, Dan.